What is going on, Washington fans? Welcome to the JTFB channel. We are live to cover some massive news today. It seems like nothing is slowing down anytime soon with free agency. And then, of course, moves that Washington has been making. Just very active this offseason as we were hoping to. Let's get to the chat real quick. Brendan Poling says, W move. Nathan Myers, let AP cook, baby. Doug H says, people are crying on Twitter, man. Sheesh. It is what it is. I told y'all the last few days they were saying that Sam Howell is going to be getting, some kind of draft talk offers. Like it was going to happen between now and the draft, and it happened a lot faster than we thought it would. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about some things that have developed even now, talk about what this means. Tommy T says, what's up? Jason says, let's get the QB right and roll. So breaking news as of a few hours ago, I was at work, but, let's take a look at it. Sam Howell, number 14, was traded to the Seattle Seahawks. In a trade where you have some pick swaps, let's take a look at what all went down. The Seahawks received Sam Howell, our 4th round pick 102, and a 6th round pick 179. And we receive a 3rd round pick, which is just got to give it to Adam Peters, getting a 3rd round pick. A top 90 is huge in this draft. But pick 78 is massive. That reaches the border of massive move. And of course, a 5th round pick, pick 152, which is pretty much what we drafted him in, the 5th round. So this is a big trade. Like I said, it was something that we knew was going to happen for a while now. And then Seattle's GM was actually doing a radio show and came out and said that there was actually a couple different teams in on the mix with this trade. It seems like it started kind of yesterday. The talks did, and everything got kind of finalized today. But there's a couple teams in the mix. I haven't heard who yet. But it seems like Seattle came out. So when you have this demand, kind of like a supply and demand thing, when there's a demand for someone like Sam Howell, and you've seen it, there's a demand for really high quality backup quarterback in this league. When you have that demand, the price goes up a little bit. So I think it kind of got that price to where you are getting a 3rd for Sam. That is huge. That is a difference maker. I love it. So like I said, we're going to talk about this, what this means, what I think happens next. But it really seemed like this was in the making, which is great. You sign Marcus Mariota and people are like, oh my God, him and Sam are going to compete. No, not at all. Like there's no reason to actually even think that Sam and Marcus Mariota would have competed. No, that's not what that meant. So you have your veteran backup. What's the point of having Sam Howell be quarterback 3 here when you could let him go somewhere else, especially if you can trade him and get a 3rd and a 5th and trade him a 4th and a 6th. Move up 2 spots or 2 different picks in the draft by like a large gap. You go from 102 to 78. You go from 179 to 152. That's a big jump, especially that 102 to 78. That's huge. There is no reason to have Sam Howell sit on the bench as QB3 when Jake Fromm was our QB3 last year. What would be the point of having Sam Howell? Because you paid Marcus Mariota a 1 year, what was it, $6 million guaranteed with incentives up to $10 million. That's not quarterback 3 money. And I told y'all in the live stream I did, that's not quarterback 3 money. That's quarterback 2. Sam Howell's going somewhere else, and it just happened a lot faster than we thought. So now Sam is in Seattle. Adam Schefter said he has an opportunity to compete for, the starting spot with Geno. I don't know about that. I think he's just a dang good backup quarterback. There's a lot of teams think highly of Sam. They said, he's not just a quarterback. He's a true football player. He's tough. He's gritty. I love Sam. I've loved Sam for a long time. Like, if y'all know me, like I remember the Sam Howell movement starting before the Senior Bowl when I was talking about it. I'm like, guys, I love this guy's North Carolina film. Like, I really like what I see. I wanted him in Washington. And it came down to situation. If Washington would have, just missed the playoffs and finished with like pick 18, 19, something like that, I don't know, whatever. it would be a different situation. But I told y'all at the end of the season, Sam Howell's one, competing for his job, but then also with a new regime, anything is possible. Like, don't be surprised if Sam Howell's not the quarterback next year. Everyone's like, oh my God, Josh, you're crazy. You're nuts. Did you see how many yards Sam threw for? It didn't matter. It is all about situation. If Washington wasn't in a position to, draft one of the top 3 quarterbacks, or even like top 5, if you're in that middle pack, if you're behind the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Vikings, and you don't have an opportunity to get a top quarterback, then maybe it would have been a different situation. But we have the number 2 overall pick, and it just blew my mind how long it took for people to realize doesn't matter, even how he finished the season, things were going to change. Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, they were going to get their guy. And I remember clear as day this video I did at the trade deadline. I said, guys, the new regime is going to want their guy. They did not draft Sam Howell, so do not get too attached these last few weeks of the season. And I'm telling you guys, I got pounded into the ground, but I just said, whatever. It's all about situation. The NFL is a business. No new GM, no new head coach is going to roll their first season with all these draft picks, all this salary cap, and say, you know what? Let's just give Sam Howell one more season. He deserves that. This is a business. This is not a let's give him a good, he's a good guy. He had good moments. Let's give him a chance. Like I said, I love Sam Howell to death. Like, it's so hard seeing him leave. Like, I get it. But at the same time, it is a business decision. You have the number 2 overall pick, maybe number 1. I'll talk about that. But you got to get your quarterback. Who you think you can build around, who you think you can win a Super Bowl with. That's the whole point of this thing, guys. You're winning a Super Bowl. Who can get you there? Who can you build around? Who can elevate this team to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL and someone that's good enough to win a Super Bowl? That's what it boils down to. So you trade Sam Howell to a place he can, I don't care if it's in the NFC. I've seen people say, like, why not send him to the AFC? Like, maybe you have to face it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You got a 3rd round pick, 78 overall, and a 5th round pick, 152. Like I said, it's pretty much what you drafted him in, the 5th round. And you gave away a 4th and a 6th in him. That's great. That is a phenomenal trade by Adam Peters. Phenomenal. You have an asset on your team, and you know what your move is. I don't think they know who they're drafting yet. You still have pro days coming up. You still have top 30 visits coming up. Things change. Things are fluid. You still have plenty of time. You still have over a month until you're on the clock. I don't think they 100% know who they're taking yet. But like I said, there's an interesting situation out there regarding that number 1 pick that's kind of coming up to the surface now. So let's take a look at the chat, see what y'all got to say real quick. Shout out to Zolife No Life, member of the channel. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button if you enjoy what you see, and then become a member of the channel. Support the channel for only $2.99 a month. I got some really good things coming out soon. Taking a deep dive into all these signings and free agency, doing some all 22 breakdowns and such. But Zolife No Life says Howell's going to cook in Seattle. He has some really good weapons. Like, I think he's in a place where if he gets the opportunity, he can succeed. And like, I'm excited for him. Like, I love that for him. He goes from Washington to Washington State. It's completely different up there. I got some family. I got a cousin and her husband that live up in Seattle. Never been, but it is different. So, good luck, Sam. I hope he balls out. Let's see. We got Adam Peters in the comments saying we're not done yet, fellas. Trust. With the do-rag in Newport in his mouth. Tommy T says, "What's up?" Chris Jack says, "I hope he succeeds, but on to Drake May." So obviously number 2 pick. Like I said, you can debate Drake May, you can debate Jaden Daniels all you want. Like I said, I don't think that they are 100% sure who they want to take. I think they have a favorite right now. I think they have a favorite at number 2. But I don't think it's like locked in. They're not like, we are 1,000,000% taking this guy, unless they just absolutely don't like the other one for whatever reason. If something happened, or if they just like, we don't want, like, that doesn't fit what we want. But I don't think that's likely at all. Ethan Wilmore says, do we trade up into the 1st? I think yes. I mean, let's talk about it. Let me not just say yes. Let me talk about it. So the Bears are in a weird situation, and they're kind of playing this right. But it's also kind of hurting them in a certain way. So let's talk about it. Justin Fields, Chicago, the number 1 pick. They are in a position where they have to show their hand eventually. Eventually. And it's kind of soon. They have to show their hand soon. They have not traded Justin Fields because if they do, that says, look, we're getting Caleb, like 100%. Then teams are like, all right, whatever. Let's focus on number 2 now. If teams want to trade up, talk to Washington, whatever. Or if you're Adam Peters and company, you're at 2, you're thinking about who you're going to draft now. You're sold on whoever. Like I said, things are fluid, but you're going to be number 2. If they trade Justin Fields, they say, hey, this is our hand. We're taking Caleb, by the way. Don't reach out to us for the number 1 overall pick because it's not going to happen. But they haven't traded him yet. And if you've been watching this free agency frenzy going on in NFL Network, if you've been listening to Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport, they've kind of come out and said it sounds like Chicago hasn't even really shopped Justin Fields. They haven't really like talked to anybody about a trade yet. So that's smart by them because they're holding their hand close, y'all. They're saying, look, we can't show you what's going on because we want those calls to come in. We told y'all it's going to be an historic haul for the number 1 overall pick. Our phones are on, guys. Give us a call. If they trade Justin, the gig is up. We know you got pocket aces. You're keeping the number 1 overall pick. You're all in. You're going to get Caleb. But right now, and Combine Week, there's some whispers. They said, we're listening to some calls for the number 1 overall pick. We're fielding it. There's like the early stage where you listen to see like what teams are saying, hey, we're interested in the number 1 pick. We're checking the pulse to see if that number 1 pick is available. And Washington absolutely has, Adam Peters said he had a lot of good conversations with a lot of GMs. Absolutely, they talked. Chicago and Washington have absolutely talked. There's the early stages of it. So you just kind of get an idea of like, is that pick actually available? And of course, the Bears aren't like, yep. They're just like, hey, we'll listen. We're going to listen to you. What if the pick was available, what would you offer us? Kind of situation. So they're listening. And then as the time kind of dwindles down, it's going to turn into like, hey, we want the number 1 pick. Like the Bears just want more. They want to get as much as possible, obviously. But as the time gets closer, we have a few weeks until this thing really kind of, narrows down, gets to the nitty-gritty. The Bears, they just want more. They want teams to be like, hey, no, we want that pick. I know we said before, we're going to add a 3rd next year to that. Like let's get it done. This is a business, let's get it done kind of thing. So it's a really interesting situation. Like I said, they can't show their hand or it's going to just blow the whole thing up. If they trade Fields, the pick isn't for sale. But they're waiting on a team, whether it's Washington, New England, whoever. I don't think they want to go back that far, though. I don't think they want to miss out on Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think they want it to be like, oh, we missed out on an elite guy. I mean, they elite neighbors, Roma Dunze. Like, there's still elite talent out there. But I don't know how far back they want to go, which kind of helps Washington. But they're just waiting on a team to be like, hey, this is an offer you cannot say no to. If it's Washington, they're like, hey, we're going to give you pick 2. We're going to give you a 2nd. We're going to give you a 1st next year and a 3rd next year, whatever. And they're like, okay, that's interesting because we're only going back 1 spot and we're getting picks that can alter our franchise. The Bears don't have a lot of picks this season. Let's take a look. I wanted to fire up the mock draft simulator, but they haven't really updated anything yet on it. But if you take a look at Chicago, 7 rounds, what they have cooking up, they only have picks 1, 9, 75, 110, and 122. Washington, not only did we trade Sam Howell to get picks. We didn't like gain any more. It's just that draft capital drastically increased. So Washington now has pick number 2, pick 36 and pick 40. Thank you, Montez. Picks 67, now pick 78. Then we had the comp pick for Chase Young, pick 100. We got pick 139 in the 5th, pick 152 in the 5th. Now, that was part of the trade. And then a 7th round. We don't have a 6 now, but we have 7th round, 222. So your draft capital, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 picks. But the capital has drastically increased. So you have all the ammo in the world. Chicago is on notice now. Chicago is looking at us like, okay, Washington is making money moves. They are not playing around. They have the picks. If they want pick 2 and they want a 2nd and a 3rd this year and like say a 1st next year, you have the capital to do it, and you still have so many more picks to build around it. If you trade up for Caleb Williams in the 1st, you still have another 2nd. You have 2 more 3rds, and whatever else I just said, and whatever else. But the fact is, it's not like, oh, we're giving up a 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Like, oh, we have nothing now. We got to wait till the 4th round. No, you have so much draft capital to still build around. And like I said, guys, these free agency signings have been where it's like we have guys that can start here. We have guys that can either rotate in and make a difference. We're not pressed on taking an edge in the 2nd round. We don't have to. If we're not in the situation that we like, we don't absolutely have to. We can trade that pick to move up and get Caleb Williams because we have Dorrance Armstrong. You still got KJ Henry from last year. You got Clelin Ferrell. You got Dante Fowler. You had some depth guys. You bring back F.A. Obada. Maybe that's how they roll. You're not pressed to make any moves that you don't want to. There's still 2 positions that you're kind of like, ugh. And that's left and right tackle. Well, that's 2. Let's just say offensive tackle and corner now. Because you lose Kendall Fuller to the Dolphins, and I said it so many times, I don't think he comes back. But you have to have a plan to replace Kendall Fuller. And I think they have something up their sleeve. They've been very active in the corner market behind the scenes. You hear a little whispers. There's been more going on than you think when it comes to the corner market. But then you lose a wide receiver. Curtis Samuel goes to the Bills. So you have this draft capital to trade up and still like replace what you have to, but just take the best people available that are going to come on your team and make an immediate impact. You're not pressed. It's not the traditional fan mock draft. And I'll admit it. Sometimes I'm guilty of it. I'm like, all right, I'm on the clock, pick 36. I got to get a tackle here. Let me look at the tackles real quick. I guess it's Jordan Morgan. Let's go Jordan Morgan. Okay, let's go. All right, 3rd round, I got to take a wide receiver here. Who do I like? You don't have to do that. Adam Peters, it's so refreshing just seeing how this organization is being run now. It is a completely different organization. Absolutely love it. Let's get a couple of the chats real quick. If Bears are lucky, 2 of those 5 picks will work out for their draft. You said they have 5 draft picks overall. Washington sure has a lot of draft picks, a great thing. So that's what I'm saying. The Bears really don't have much. Now, from what I've just heard and kind of gathered from, especially the combine, it really, really sounds like the Bears just, they do want Caleb. Like it sounds like it is such a high chance. But things are getting more interesting as we get closer because of what Washington is doing, loading up draft capital, like the weight of the draft picks, like I just said, it's gotten even better. And they haven't traded Fields yet. I also don't think the market for Fields is there. It's the market is not at all what they wanted. So they're weighing out, okay, if we draft Caleb and we trade Justin Fields, these are the picks we're going to get for Justin Fields, and then we're still going to have our quarterback at 1, okay? Now, if we keep Justin Fields, how much of a difference are those picks that we're getting for the number 1 overall pick? This is a massive, historic haul that we said we needed to get that number 1 pick. Maybe Fields is only like a 4th and a 5th or something. Like maybe it's just not what they thought. Whatever they're hearing about Justin Fields, maybe it's just not as much. And some people also saying, hey, Maybe they just keep Justin Fields as a backup. As you can tell, having a backup quarterback in this league means a lot to a lot of teams. But also, I don't like that situation for them. Drafting Caleb, but then also having a fan favorite Justin Fields there. It's just not healthy. Does it matter? No. But like if you're Justin, you're like, oh, I just got replaced. Like it's just a bad situation. I don't think they want that. So there's a lot of things to watch when it comes to the Bears. We need them to show their hand, and they're playing it smart. I got to give it to Poles. He's playing it smart right now. He hasn't shopped Justin Fields. He hasn't said he's available, which kind of raises the stock, but it's also hurting him because where's Justin Fields even going to go if he gets traded? The Raiders, who has Gardner Minshew, like maybe as their backup. Denver, like Minnesota. Every team except the Broncos, I guess, have like gone out and gotten a quality quarterback that they said, look, if we don't get our quarterback, whether it's Fields or someone in the draft, we're going to run with Sam Darnold next year. Or we can run with Gardner Minshew next year. We don't care. We're not going to like sell ourselves out for Justin Fields or whoever it is. So every team is kind of prepared for just in case Justin Fields doesn't get traded. But I just don't think the market is nearly as much as they thought it was for Justin Fields. Let's see. Built Tone says, scare money, don't make money. Chicago will hard Williams and their 5 picks and hope for the best. Or hoard Williams and their 5 picks and hope for the best. So, like I said, I truly believe that they do want Caleb Williams, but it just comes down to what you're gaining for whatever you're losing. Their worst case scenario is keeping Justin Fields and drafting Caleb at 1. They're not getting any extra picks. They're staying with Justin Fields on the team. That's terrible. Like that's honestly really bad management if you're the Bears and that's what happens. You should have traded Fields then. If you knew you were going to take Caleb, you should have traded Fields. So they're kind of hurting themselves by waiting, but at the same time, they don't really have a choice if they want to field these offers for that number 1 pick. So do I think the number 1 pick is available? Yeah, of course. I think it is. Because if that trade outweighs, getting Caleb, keeping Justin Fields, we can keep Justin and just build with a ton of picks, whether it's this year and the next year or whatever. If it outweighs it, then it's worth it to them. Don't worry, guys. I'm checking my phone, seeing if anything pops out, anything breaking news happens. Brian Butler says, Bears are waiting for a team to get desperate for a quarterback. But the thing is, they're running out of time. They are running out of time. Like I said, they have to show their hand. At some point, Chicago's got to say, hey, this is what we're doing. Or they have to accept a trade and trade that number 1 pick. If I was to imagine when the pick gets traded, it could be any time, honestly. But I think they're going to wait. They want to wait as long as possible until a team gets desperate for the number 1 pick. And then once again, I don't think Washington, especially like how I'm seeing things are being ran, I don't think Washington's a team that would get desperate. They're going to say, hey, this is our final offer for 1. If you don't want it, you don't want it. Take Caleb at 1. You're still stuck with Justin Fields, or you're going to trade him after the draft when a team wasn't able to get a quarterback, and you might not get as much back as you were hoping on Justin Fields. So if we stay at 2, which I'm fine with, like I said, I'm still Team Drake May, Team Jaden Daniels. We can debate it as much as we want. I am fine taking either of those 2 quarterbacks. I'm good with any of them. Let's see. Josh LMB says a lot of GMs looking at Fields. He only threw 300 yards 1 time in 3 years, plus never threw over 3,000 yards in a season in his career. Mac Jones had better stats, and look what Jacksonville got for him. Pretty much nothing. Let's see. Big E says, Josh, what's good, my dude? I thought it was dumb to pay Mariota as much unless they got a good trade for him, which they did. Solid move. Respectful man. Hey, good vibrations, baby. Go Skins. So that's the thing, too. Like, we knew a veteran quarterback was going to be here. Like, it was just a matter of time. It wasn't going to be a rookie and Sam Howell's QB2. That's just not sustainable. You start getting into that situation, like I said, where you would have had Justin Fields and Caleb. It just didn't make sense. But if you can trade Sam and you get the assets you did, you do it. And paying Mariota $6 million compared to a third round pick in a fifth, it's not even close. Like, even if Mariota got the full $10 million, it's not even close. The draft capital outweighs $6 million for Mariota as your backup. Absolutely. And what do we draft with our new pick? Would love to hear from you. So, like, honestly, I think trading up to one's a possibility. If not, this is something I've been saying for the last few weeks too. If they stay at 2, I could absolutely see them trading back into the first round pick. So taking their quarterback at 2, whoever it is, whatever, and then saying, hey, there's a team in the 20s or, high teens that we have ammo now to get into the first round and take that starting left tackle, starting right tackle that you want. And honestly, if they don't trade up to 1, which is hard to do, like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, and I said this about Greg Newsome, the little nugget, how I heard that Washington was checking in on Newsome. He's a possible trade candidate at corner, whatever. I said this in response because I know I got a lot of y'all excited. Like, I hope that happens too. I pray, especially now that Kendall Fuller's gone. Please go get Greg Newsome, please. It's hard for these things to happen in the NFL. It's hard to complete a trade. The thing for Sam Howell today, it's hard. And like I said, you heard Seattle's GM say we were sweating this morning. We were sweating. It is not easy to get these things done in the NFL, especially for the number 1 overall pick. It's not easy. Does that mean it's not possible? Absolutely not. But you need a lot to happen. But if it doesn't happen and they take Drake May / Jaden Daniels at 2, please, for the love of God, use one of these picks to trade up, or even do what the Texans did. Maybe not to the extent. Trade up into the top 10 and take Olu Fashanu, Joe Alt, Fuaga, whoever. That would be fantastic by me. That's great. Take your franchise left tackle, right tackle, JC Latham, whoever it is. Top 10, top 15, top 20, whatever. Troy Fautanu. Get one of those athletic first round offensive linemen that we've seen, obviously throughout the whole season in college, but then at the combine showing out, breaking records, doing things that tight ends do. Give me one of those guys. So I think top priority, obviously, is trading up to 1 and getting Caleb Williams, which some people are against. And I that's fine. I get it. People saying, oh, you're mortgaging your future. You're doing this, you're doing that. I don't think it is. You're swinging big for a guy who's been the number 1 overall draft pick for 2 years now. And then people are like, oh, but he had a bad season. Oh, look at his number against ranked team. Oh, look at it. There's no denying it. Like, he's been the number 1 overall guy for 2 years now. I love Caleb Williams. I think he's a game changer. I have no problems with his personality, what he wears. I don't care. Win me a Super Bowl. You can paint your fingernails, whatever. That does not bother me. In my honest opinion, I think Caleb's a great dude. I follow him on Instagram. It's like Friday night and he's up in his penthouse in LA building Legos with his girlfriend. Like, I have no problem with Caleb. I would love Caleb to be here. I would love it. Now, would it worry me? Like, okay, we just traded a lot. We traded next year's first. We traded a second this year. But the way that things have been built, going back to the trade deadline to now trading Sam Howell, you have the ammo to where even if you miss, it's okay. It is okay. And I'm not going to compare it to this, but it's kind of similar. Remember how, I don't want to say Adam Peters because no one knows. Remember how the 49ers traded up for Trey Lance and they missed big on him. It didn't matter. They were just in the Super Bowl. According to fans, if you trade up to number 1, if you trade up for a quarterback and you miss, it sets you back. You mortgage your future. You fail. It sets you back years and you can't recover. That is not true if you do things the right way. And that's what's happening right now. You got an extra third and you got an extra fifth. And people are like, oh, Josh, it's just a third and a fifth. Calm down. That's not going to be what changes this trade or whatever. It might not be. But like I said, if you trade a second this year and your early third this year and your first next year, You still have draft capital to get game changers. And this, you still have 2/3, and you still have another second this year. So you're not missing out. Yes, you have your first next year, and who knows what other moves could happen. Maybe you get a first again or whatever. Who knows? But it doesn't matter. If you build it the right way, it just swing. If you strike out, if Mike Trout goes up to the plate and he strikes out, he's not like, well, I'm not swinging again. It's not worth it. I'm going to strike out. No, just swing until you hit it. Draft your quarterbacks until you get one. If you think Caleb Williams is your guy and it's going to take you a second and a third this year and a first next year, and I don't know, maybe it takes more. I don't know. I have no idea what this historic haul looks like. But if that's what it takes and you think it's worth it, then do it, Adam Peters. And I don't think he has any problem doing it. He's shown y'all. Adam Peters has no problem making the moves that some fans are uncomfortable with. Some fans are, oh my God, I can't believe we lost him. Oh no, Cam Curl might not come back. Oh no, Sam's gone. He deserved another chance. Adam Peters don't give a damn. He's going to do the smart business things, and we've seen that so far, and I love it. It's just like Adam Peters' decisions that have the last 72 hours have been some of the most exciting, not only for, a guy who does content on YouTube or a guy that covers the team for Bleacher Report, but as a fan, these 72 hours have been refreshing. It's like being locked up in a house all day. I feel like we've been in fan quarantine for years, and we are now in the Alps. The air is much better out here, guys. If you think Caleb's your guy, go get him. If you miss, do it again. That's what the NFL is. But it's not like we're trading every pick we have this year. We're just loading up. Adam Peters just loads the clip before he goes to the NFL draft. But like I said, guys, I'm not ruling out number 2. We don't know what's going to happen with that number 1 pick. Things are still fluid. It might take a little while for that number 1 pick to get going. If the trade was to happen, and my guess it wouldn't be until from beginning of April to the teens of April. The Bears want to milk this as long as possible. Unless they get some crazy trade, we don't want that team to change their mind. We don't want anything to change except that trade. A team has to just blow the door down for them to just take it right now. John said, I'm a big Sam Howell believer. Draft him in every fantasy league last year, hoping for big things in Seattle. I love Sam. I told you, I absolutely love Sam. I hope he does ball out. Bill Tillman says, Caleb, JD, or May with the staff and 9 draft picks, or Caleb and $16 million in cap space. We still have 50 mil, maybe a little bit more, in free agency to spend for salary cap. I mean, we still have plenty of money. There's still moves being made. Like I said, they're in the corner market. Justin Simmons, maybe. I'm waiting on Justin Simmons. I want him back here in Virginia. Well, I say here. I'm in Austin now, but I'm a Virginia boy. I want Justin Simmons, and then maybe Josh Jones or Tyron Smith, whatever on the O-line. But Washington's not done yet. But still, you get your quarterback and you still have so much to spend. It's just, I remember so many fans but if we get Caleb, then we're not going to be able to get an O-line. We're not going to be able to do this. We're not going to be able to draft other people. We're going to have to wait till next year. That is not the case. Do what the Texans did, trade back in the first and grab LT instead of the edge after the QB. Pretty much. Like I said, I don't know if they would go up to 3. Maybe top 10. But you have the ammo to do so now if you want to. Bill Tillman says, Caleb has the potential to take Mahomes down. Pause. I have a lot of pause moments myself. Glad somebody else is finally joining the party. Adam Peters, Durag Peters is back. Says Caleb is our guy. He'll restore Washington to the powerhouse franchise he once was. Newport Adam, man, I'm here for it. Like I said, some fans are just sold that Caleb isn't the answer and he's not worth it. Robert says, stop, no trade for Caleb. Like I said, whatever Adam decides to do, he's proven to me already in the short period of time that he is more than capable than doing what has to be done. Doing the hard moves. It feels like, oh my God, I can't believe they traded Sam. Don't go over to Facebook. I got guys arguing with each other about signing a kicker. I don't even get on Facebook. Sometimes I just get on there just to laugh at people. But you would think that Sam Howell was a Hall of Famer in his prime, and we traded him for a bag of potato chips. The way that people are acting over there. Brian says JD to DC. If that's who they want, I'd be ecstatic. Josh Allen B says, I'm just glad we get to draft our own franchise quarterback, May or JD5. Either one's going to work out. So like I said, trade up to 1, cool. You stay at 2 and take one of those 2 guys. The only move that would kind of make me raise my eyebrows. And like I said, I'm going to be at the draft. I got a house in Canada. I'm good. I'm going to go over the border, the bridge every day. I'm going to be in downtown Detroit for the draft. Y'all know I'm going to live it up there. It's going to be a good time. I will be sweating on the clock. I will be sweating on the clock. And the only thing that would stress me out is if they went JJ McCarthy, or traded back and got him. And I don't think that's an option. I think the only 2 moves, and people are like, oh my God, why? The only 2 moves I think are possible are trading up to 1. And I have no idea what's going on. Shout out to the balloons. Trading up to 1 or staying at 2 and getting your quarterback. That's the only thing. And I said this today. Finally, people will now realize we're not rolling with Sam Howell QB1. So I'm glad that they got this trade done. Clean slate. You got draft picks. Sam's gone. Whatever. It happened. Rip the Band-Aid off, guys. J-Dubs, appreciate you coming by. Always good to see you on here late to the chat tonight, but got to show my guy Josh some love. Thanks for your work, bro. Appreciate you, man. Always good having you come through, one of the OGs. ML Designs said, dog, I would lose my mind the bad way if we picked JJ. Chris Rolson said, happy birthday to somebody. If somebody's birthday on here, let me know. Happy birthday to whoever it is. Happy birthday. You got a 3rd round pick and a 5th round pick on your team. So, but guys, I appreciate it. Like I said, I wasn't going to go live for that long tonight. I've been live about 6 times in the last 48 hours, which is nuts. And I'm not done. So like I said, a lot of big news today. Kendall Fuller to the Dolphins. Shout out to Kendall Fuller, man. I do hate to see Kendall Fuller go. I think he is extremely underrated by fans. I had him on the channel a little while back at the draft party, not last year, but the year before that. Love Kendall Fuller, always been good to me. Awesome dude. I think he does great things in Miami. I hate losing him. Same with Kirko. Love talking to Curtis Samuel. I never had him on the show, but just talk to him in person, at camp and stuff like that. Really good guy. I'm glad he went to the Bills. I think Josh Allen's going to love Curtis Samuel. Then, of course, Sam Howell traded to Seattle. He has plenty of weapons. I think he's in a good situation. Really good organization. It's not like he went to the Giants or somewhere where it's oh God, pray for Sam. He's in a really good spot, really good location. Seattle's really nice. Like I said, just a super highly professional organization. I think he does well. And I hope he gets his chance. He tore that team up when we played Seattle, and he's got some really good weapons around him. So good luck, Sam. Appreciate you, man. Zoe Life No Life says, I think we get a corner over an edge in the 2nd round. Ben St. Juice, that's nasty. So I was just doing a mock draft a minute ago. Oh, I love this corner draft. Y'all know I've been saying it for a little while now. If we go corner in the 2nd round, I don't think Washington is done. We've had a couple visits. We've had a couple talks with some corners. I'm telling you guys, I'm watching this Greg Newsome situation to the fullest. I'm watching it. I don't just talk to talk. I'm not the guy that's just clickbait stuff or oh guys, I just got a text. Stay tuned for more. That's not what I do. If I hear something, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm not going to keep it from y'all. I told y'all about the San Francisco 49ers situation during the trade deadline. Before it happened, I told y'all. So I'm keeping an eye on this. I'm also keeping an eye on the L'Jarius Sneed situation. If you trade a 2nd for Sneed, that's a premier corner. That gets me excited. It's like I said, you got all these draft picks now. Maybe they don't draft one in the 2nd. Maybe they go get Sneed and they spend some of that $50 million that they got and say, we're going to get Snead, the 27. I think he's 27. He was the number one corner in the league last year. That's all you got. That's all you need to know. He allowed one touchdown, and it shouldn't, like, it was a crazy touchdown. And I don't know, this corner situation, it's interesting because I'm like, I don't know. Dan Quinn, like, when he lost Diggs, which was like Dron Bland's, Stephon Gilmore, like, he made it work. So, like, is he willing to invest, a lot into that corner position? I don't know. But I think you have the stuff to do it. Like I said, you still have plenty of salary. Like I said, ideally, there's not an exact number, but an estimate between 10 to 15, I'd say maybe 12 mil is kind of put to the side for your draft picks. And you can, like, make some moves and make some money around, restructure, or whatever if you have to, like, worst case. Whatever you got to do to make your team better. So, like I said, we have probably about 50 mil spending-wise left to really, and these contracts, y'all, Adam Peters is making these first year of these contracts really favorable. Like I told y'all, the first like 4 or 5, signings we did only totaled to like 12 mil against the cap hit for the next year. It's like a lot of like these 3-year deals are like, okay, 2 years, there's an out after that second year, and the third, kind of like the most money. So if things don't work out or you want to go a different direction, whatever you can. But the way that these signings and free agency has been, it's allowing him to just build this roster that first year and say, like, guys, we're not just building, but we're going to compete. This isn't a team like, oh, we need a year or two. We need maybe 2-3 years to be able to make the playoffs. He said, heck, F that. We got some quality guys. So I don't know, y'all. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, I'm putting a little extra sugar in it. But this corner situation, I'm watching it. I'm keeping my ears open. Y'all know, follow me on X if you don't already, at Josh Taylor FB. Subscribe to the channel. And like I said, become a member of the channel for some more exclusive videos I got coming up. As soon as this stuff calms down, like as soon as everything's like done, I'm gonna get into the free agent videos. Let's see. J-Dub says, you think Peter strategically downplayed free agency in order to give us fans some surprising enthusiasm? I guess, but he just said he wasn't going to be big spenders in free agency. And I think what he really meant is, like, we're not going to be reckless and, go get Brian Burns and trade and then pay him like 45 mil for 2024 or whatever the Giants are doing. Something like that. I like, and I like in my prediction video, I said, I think there's going to be some quality signings. Frankie Lavu, obviously a guy like Bobby Wagner, Tyler Biadasz. Those are quality guys. Like, they got paid a good amount, but it's not like breaking the bank. But like, they just wanted to just restructure the foundation. Like right now, we were just a house on a cracked, broken down foundation. Adam Peters said, look, we're going to just clean it out. We're going to get the bottom going. We're going to get some young foundational pieces on here. I feel good about our offensive line. I know we're not done yet, but I like the moves that he's made so far. You have your starting center. Obviously, Sam Cosmi is your starting right guard. I don't know if they add another left guard or not. It sounds like, Nick could be the starter. I don't know. I just haven't seen enough of him yet. But left tackle, right tackle, obviously we got to get that figured out. But I think in the draft, he sees some tackles that he loves. But outside of that, like I said, linebacker group, adding Pittman today, big time special teams person, him bringing back Revo, bringing back F.A. Obata. Those are good moves. That helps your foundation. Revo is one of those foundational pieces. He's a culture setter. He's an energy guy. He's an all-pro special teams player. Like, injured or not, whatever happened, it doesn't matter. Having him and having Pittman, who's a really good special teams player. The Lions wanted to keep Pittman big time. Like, everything I've seen is like, dang, they were not too happy about losing him. Like, they were bummed. So I know it's special teams. Who cares about special teams? But we also only had 3 linebackers on the roster with Jamin Davis, Luvu, and Bobby Wagner. So we had depth in the linebacker position as well. We get a big time special teams guy. Let's see what we got going on. Quinion Mitchell in round 2, fellas, get ready. I don't think he goes around. I don't think he makes it there. His corner draft is ridiculous. I don't think he makes it. He might be corner one to some teams. We need to draft a good tight end and a fullback, just like we used to have with Mike Sellers. Ben Sinnott is both. Ben Sinnott is my savior. Ben Sinnott, come save us. Y'all know I've been a Ben Sinnott fan for a long time. They definitely have a corner they like in the draft. It's the only weakness they haven't covered in free agency. So, like I said, it's an extremely healthy corner draft, and there's still some options in free agency. I think their worst case scenarios like Stephon Gilmore bringing him for a year, but that doesn't stop you. Where you see Chase Young, Cam Curl, man, I mean, I know that fake account was like tweeting out Cam Curl to Seattle, but I could honestly see that just because they got rid of Diggs and old box safety Adams. Like I could see it. I know Buffalo is an interesting spot that kind of wanted Cam Curl. I don't know if they can afford him. It just really depends what that looks like. But Chase Young has visits to the Panthers, the Saints, and the Titans, I think. I think that was a 3. Panthers, Saints, and I think Titans was a third one. But I could see him going to the Panthers. God, poor guy. I mean, that'd suck. At least he would stay kind of close to home. Saints, I could definitely see that too. But it just depends on like how much he's asking for too. But I mean, I could definitely see the Panthers. But Curl's an interesting one. I have no idea what's going on with Curl right now. Money wise, like if he's willing to maybe take less to stay here, I don't think so. J-Dub said, I'm going to need you to do an inside video on the other FA moves done by teams in the East. I'll do a recap maybe. Carve out some time, do a recap of the whole NFC East. Maybe get some other people on here. I'm going to start having some more guests on here too. I know y'all are sick of just seeing my ugly dome on here by myself talking, rambling on. But I'm going to have some more guests on here coming up soon. Just been really busy, obviously. So trying to like schedule at the exact same time is tough. If you got to go live, you got to go live. Like when things happen these last few days, you just got to go live. Eric said draft a fullback. Wow. So, and obviously you're not drafting a fullback, but if you know Ben Sinnott, he's a really good tight end. He won the award for best fullback in college, but he's a tight end. But he's a phenomenal blocker. You can put him in line at tight end. You can put him out in the Y. He's my number 2 tight end in the draft. And there's other people that have him at number 2 tight end in the draft too over Jatavian Sanders, who's more of like just a receiving guy. He cannot block to save his life. Trust me, I live in Austin. And if you saw the combine, his sledding workout was awful. Christopher brings up a good one. Did they meet with Isaac Yiadom? So it sounds like they did. But he's got interest from other teams too. So he's kind of feeling out his options more than likely. Obviously you don't just jump on the first visit. Unless it's something like you just can't, say no to. But I like him as well. He's been on the Saints the last few years. He would fit perfectly. He's a really good press corner. He would fit Dan Quinn's defense or, Coach Witt, they're both their defenses extremely well. Like I promise you, Dan Quinn's like, yo, get me that guy. Would he start? I think, like I said, I kind of said this on the stream last night talking, or not a stream. I just did a reaction video of Bobby Wagner, like talking about the defense. You're going to see a lot of different packages. You're going to see a lot of different like rotational things. There's still a couple more dominoes to fall until I get a full understanding of what the blueprint of this defense is going to look like. But I think you could see a lot of Isaac on the field out there if he does come here. But I like him from what I've seen. I like the last few days, ever since I heard his name come up, I was like, all right, let me check this guy out, because honestly, I knew nothing about him. And he's a really good press corner. He's one of the best press corners in the league last year. He's ridiculous. I think he's 27. But I got the graphic ready just in case. Don't worry, guys. Like I said, guys, I'm going to hop off of here, get some sleep, maybe. Who knows? It's been the last 72 hours. It felt like a month. But it's been amazing. I love it. This is what I live for. I appreciate y'all so much. Ton of new subscribers, a ton of new followers on X. Ton of new things going on Bleacher Report. They got me going league-wide now. Made my home screen debut the other day. That was dope. Covering free agency, the biggest thing going on in sports right now, and I was on the front page. Like, that's nuts. So appreciate y'all so much. Y'all have no idea. I'm going nonstop all the time. The grind's ridiculous, but like there's nothing else I would rather do. So thank y'all for hopping on these lives, blowing up the chat. I love the talks with y'all. Like I have people DMing me on Twitter and stuff all the time. Like I try to get to all of them. I'm trying, but I love talking to y'all. And that's why I love going to training camp. I love going to the draft. I love going back home to the games because I love interacting with all y'all and hearing your opinions. And even if we don't agree, I'm not a guy that's like, oh, you're stupid, delete your account, blah, blah. That's not what I do. So appreciate y'all. Shout out to the good ones. There are some crazy ones out there. Like I said, stay off of Facebook. But if anything happens, I'm either going to drop a video or I'll go live. So just keep those notifications on, subscribe if you haven't already, and you'll know as soon as I go live. Like I said, follow me on X2. That's where I put most stuff out. So appreciate y'all. I'm going to get something to eat for the first time in like 12 hours, and I will see y'all later. Peace.